Hi there! Welcome to Boy Meets Quilt. I'm Andrew Vay Hansen, and this is yet another video in my virtual trunk show. Now, the quilt you see behind me may look familiar if you've actually been watching my past videos. In episode 6, I did a pretty long video that goes through beginning to end of how I made this quilt. So I'm not going to talk much about it in this video, but it is one of the full-sized quilts that I've completed, so I wanted to include it in my trunk show. So this is my water tower quilt, and I came up with this when I had been working on my BK Snaps quilt, which you saw in an earlier video. And one of the blocks I made in that quilt was a water tower. And water towers are very common all over the city. I don't know about other cities in America, but in New York, they've become kind of a symbol of the city. They're still in active use in a lot of buildings. They're still even making new water towers. Most new buildings have these water towers that you'll see. Now, a lot of buildings will have them covered with brick walls or some sort of decorative barrier. But a lot of buildings you'll just see, if you walk around New York City, you're bound, and you keep your eyes open for them, you're bound to see many water towers. And so I thought it would be fun to do a whole quilt of the water towers, because I had fun making them, and I think they're kind of folksy cute, and why not? What else am I gonna make? So that's how I came about the idea for this quilt. And that's about it. Like I said, if you want more details about how I made the quilt, then go ahead and watch episode 6. And for now, I'll just do some quick close-up shots of the quilting. And we'll see that right now. All right, so here you can see the top of the quilt. And I'll just go down so that you can see the whole quilt. And as you can see, I placed my water tower squares as though they were photographs of water towers on a wall. If you were to come to my apartment and look at the wall of my family portraits, you would see a very similar layout. And so I just wanted to show you the quilting. For the background quilting, I did a lot of very tight matchstick quilting in different triangular and polygon shapes that I created around the entire quilt. And I tried to change the direction of the quilting so that whenever there was quilting next to each other, the lines were going in a different direction. And then throughout the quilt, I also did this larger grid quilting so that you can see definitely around all the borders, but also comes down into the middle of the quilt in little patches here and there to kind of give this idea of these blocks are, I don't know, on some sort of dynamic wall that is breaking out from something behind it. I'm not entirely sure what my thinking is on this, but I thought it looked cool. That's my main thinking. And then in the blocks themselves, I think you can see it best here on one of these lighter blocks. I outlined the water towers, and then I just did wavy lines. Kind of just as a simple way to quilt the block, because I didn't want this whole block to be unquilted, but also to kind of indicate like airwaves, wind. These water towers are outside, and so these wavy lines kind of indicate being outside. And then I did no quilting in any of the borders around the blocks, because there's so much quilting in this white sashing, and then enough quilting inside the blocks that I thought visually it was just going to be easier on the eyes to not have any extra quilting in the borders. So that's that. And so that's my Rooftop Water Towers quilt. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you have any questions or comments or advice, please leave them below. And be sure to check out the rest of my videos. And again, if you want to hear more details about this quilt, please watch episode 6. All right, see you next time. Bye.